So, this one's gonna be about something that I currently not know because I'm just having to record this episode pretty quickly because I don't know if I'm gonna have the time afterwards. So afterwards in the day, actually. Therefore, I'm pretty pumped though. Which is the problem. Like I don't want to stress myself out, but on the other hand, it is like I really have to record it, and I want to record it, and I want to record it now because, as I said, recording in the evening is even just worse than recording it now relatively fast, and I might even be editing it then just because I do have enough time theoretically to do that, but I'm not quite sure. Just gonna record it now, see that everything is working quite fine as I want it to be recorded, and whatsoever. But yeah, the only problem that I'm having is that I do not know what to go through and or what to talk about. But I assume, just because I am at the time on the James Clear website, because I thought like, possibilities are pretty high that I'm finding something there that is, pretty good. And I'm also taking the chance there to give you a little bit of an overview so that you can also decide and write down in the comments and or hit me up on any social media site you like, so that I go through something that you would like me to go through. Therefore, optimal health, better thinking, lifelong learning, better performance, and James Clear himself. And then there is just different sections like behavioral psychology and better habits is also a section. Habits, motivation, procrastination, better sleep, eating healthy, strength training, creativity, decision making, focus, mental toughness, life lessons, reading lists, self-improvement, constant improvement, deliberate practice, goal setting, productivity, then about James, annual reviews, and integrity reports. And these are all the sections, so as I said, hit me up or just write it down in the comments if there's something you would like me to go through, just extremely like me to go through or something. I don't English. It is what it is. I'm actually pretty pumped for this episode. It's just insane sometimes. It really sometimes is insane how much I'm just looking forward to making these or how good I feel when I'm doing them. Like sometimes it's actually like, okay, before I'm doing them, it is like, well, it is not like just the thing that I would like to do now and whatsoever. But then in the end, it's just a lot of fun, and it is a lot of just, it's just great, It is just great. But yeah. Let's actually, you know what? We just hit some random generator. And then the random generator is gonna probably say us a number between max and between 1 and, let's let it be between 1 and 10, 3. So, which means 1, 2, 3. Section motivation, so which means that we're going through something like motivation. Have I gone through something like this? Probably, yeah. Is it a whole article? Yeah, it is. Well, which would be not that a good thing, but there's probably something maintaining long-term motivation because he's always linking some things there and I quite never go through them, which is like pretty fucked up though. But it is like, okay, I do not want to just go through every single linked article there because it would just take a lot of time, which is I think understandable. How to stick with good habits every day by using the paperclip strategy. This sounds amazing. This really sounds amazing, and I think I haven't gone through this one up to this point. I really don't think so. Yeah, I haven't. And we're going to go through the paperclip strategy. It seems to be a strategy for maintaining good habits. And I have been talking about good habits before. There's just many episodes I'm talking about it. And there's just probably like in every single episode, I'm just somehow in some degree, to some degree, am I just, discussing it or talking about it. So yeah. Could you please? Thank you. So, how to stick with good habits every day by using the paperclip strategy. This article is an excerpt from Atomic Habits, my New York Times best-selling book. Yeah, I read Atomic Habits. I haven't read it fully. This is what I for sure can say, but probabilities are there that I've gone through a summary of it. And I don't know. So I can't say whether it is a good book, whether it is a bad book, because as I said, I do not even remember if I've just gone through it or not. So yeah, it could be a good book, and I probably think that it is just by ratings. If you just have a look at the ratings of the book, it is probably a really, really good book, But if you go through just like, I don't know, by your own thoughts, it might be just 50-50 actually, because, something that I've seen is that, I don't know, often it is the case that those really good books in the end are like, well, okay, maybe because I've expected a lot, and I've gone just relatively not as much as I've expected. But the thing is, then often there are books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, it is not one of the books that is just, a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people have talked about it, and you'll probably find it in just every self-help best 10 books list. Yeah, good sentence structure. But you're probably gonna find it. But it's, I think, never gonna be number one. It's never gonna be just the number one book that people are going to suggest. But for me, it is really like, yeah, it is quite the number one book that I would suggest people to read. First of all, like the first book, somebody would ask me like, what is a good self-help book? Could you just please give me one? I would say How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it is such a subjective thing. I'm going to say How to Win Friends and Influence People. Somebody else is going to say just Atomic Habits. Everyone's just talking about something different there, which is totally fine, like, and understandable. And there's, I think, just, this is undebatable. Like, it is what it is. We all have our subjective opinion, but I don't know. I think you do just have to go through an article and or summary on Atomic Habits to actually decide for yourself whether it is actually a book that you would like to buy. It is actually a good strategy, just because I'm thinking and talking about it, reading a summary first and then reading the whole book and or deciding whether you should buy the whole book or not is, at my point of view at least, or in my point of view, a pretty good strategy, because even though books might not be that expensive, for those people that do not have such a lot of money, which means like, okay, you're having, I don't know, a budget of $20 or something a month for books, then spending this budget on something that you in the end do not like is totally fucked up. It's really fucked up. It's just a waste of your money. It completely is. Therefore, or just going through reviews. And I wouldn't say the Amazon reviews somehow, because it is like, well, people, just regular people, consumers are just reading it and whatever. And I think there are other persons or other people that you might be more trusting in actually, whether it be Tom Bilyeu, he has a reading list. Then James Clear also has a reading list with all the books that he's just liking, and he would suggest other people to read as well. I think Tony Robbins has also just some, you can totally find, those people that that are reading books, they probably have, and if they're famous and or just public figures, they're probably having some site or there's some video where they talk about their most favorite books, probably. Maybe you just go through them and see whether you like them or not, But in the end, I would always say that you should figure out and you should say whether you like them or not, But there's definitely some books that are oft named, really oft named, For example, Influence by an Italian guy, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a pretty old one. But the cover is nice. The cover is actually pretty nice, even though it is such an old design. Actually, it is still nice. Like, it's an old nice design. Yeah, never mind. So in 1993, a bank in Abbotsford, Canada, hired a 23-year-old stockbroker named Trent Dyrsmith. So it is Dyrsmid. Abbotsford was a relatively small suburb, tucked away in the shadow of nearby Vancouver, where most of the big business deals were being made. Given the location and the fact that Dyrsmith was a rookie, nobody expected too much of him, but he made brisk progress thanks to a simple daily habit: the paperclip strategy. Dyrsmith began each morning with 2 jars on his desk. One was filled with 100 paper clips and the other one was empty. As soon as he settled in each day, he would make a sales call immediately after. The other was empty. As soon as he settled in each day, he would make a sales call. Immediately after, he would move one paperclip from the full jar to the empty jar, and the process would begin again. Every morning, I would start with 120 paperclips in one jar, and I would keep dialing the phone until I had moved them all to the second jar, he told me. Within 18 months, Durismith was bringing in 5 million to the firm. By age 24, he was making 75,000 per year, the equivalent of 125k today. Not long after, he landed a six-figure job with another company. Pretty amazing. And before I actually go through like why it is actually the case and why it is good, because this is, I think, what he is going to talk about right afterwards, it just makes sense for me that it is a good strategy, because he would just keep doing. He would just keep dialing the phone. And as you can see, it is not about making a sale, and it is not about just selling something to anybody or just basically doing his job. It is merely about using the phone and about dialing the phone and phoning people and or calling people. It is pretty simple. It's pretty simple, but it's definitely not easy, because you have to do it every single day. Those 120 paper clips, if you want to or not, you're gonna do that. And that's it. The thing is, sometimes it, probably took him a lot longer than on other days, but yeah, you have to go through these days, and you have to go through these moments, or these days, or weeks, or months even, that are pretty fucked up, and that are pretty shitty, and you seem to not progress. But I think because this just ensures you, and or forces you in the end as well, that you keep doing, that you keep doing the thing, that you're still calling, even though you might not have had a sale or have made a sale, in the past 7 days. You still keep doing it. You still keep selling, not sailing, but selling. Yeah. But something else that I'm seeing there is it is not only that you don't stop doing it and that you just still keep doing it no matter what, but I don't know, I guess there is just also no place for being encouraged or discouraged. What is the negative of encouraged? So when you're not just encouraged by anything, you're just feeling feeling like nothing, feeling like empty or something, but you're still doing it, because this is what you're doing. It is just pretty, I don't know, I kind of feel like it is I don't know, it is just something between you and the person and or the phone calling or the sale itself. It is something in between, and I guess it just feels a little bit more distant than just because of it. I don't know if you just get what I mean, probably not, but yeah, let's actually go through good habits that stick versus habits that fail. When I asked Durismith about the details of his habit, he simply said, I would start calling at 8 a.m. every day. I never looked at stock quotes or analyst research. I also never read the newspaper for the entire time. If the news was really important, it would find me from other ways. Trent Durismith's story is evidence of a simple truth. Success is often a result of committing to the fundamentals over and over again. Compare Trent's results to where you and I often find ourselves. We want to be consistent with our workouts, but struggle to make it into the gym. We know we should write more, thank you notes, or eat healthier meals, or read more books, but can't seem to find the motivation to get it done. We would like to achieve our goals, but still procrastinate on them. What makes the difference? Why do some good habits stick while others fail? Why did Trent's paperclip strategy work so well, and what can we learn from it? Now it's going to be interesting, I guess, or it's going to get interesting. So I believe the paperclip strategy, quote unquote, works particularly well because it creates a visual trigger that can help motivate you to perform a habit with more consistency. This is, I think, somehow what I meant with there is some distance between you and the actual task itself. There's something in between, and the paperclip strategy is definitely in between you and the actual thing that you're doing. It is I don't know how I should explain it actually. It is pretty interesting. Maybe I'll find the words. On another day. I think I actually wanted to talk about something today that I wasn't able to talk about yesterday. Yeah, I do remember. It was about And I've Googled it actually. I'm gonna talk about this right now. Just because it is interesting. At least I believe it is pretty interesting. The thing is, a lot of people, and I do just exclude very, very rich people, try to look rich to other people. And I've actually Googled it. Like, I've Googled it just like, okay, why do people want to look rich to other people? Because it is something interesting. For me, it is something interesting. I'm not doing it because I don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks about me. At least this is what I'm saying myself. So often, or as often as I actually then believe it or start to believing it. Because to some degree I do. To some degree I do give a fuck about what other people think about me, but it is subconscious. And I guess the more I tell it to myself and the more I tell it to you as well, that it is actually some bullshit, which it is, then the more I'm going to also believe in it. And the more I'm also going to think about it. Somehow. Maybe. Something. I don't know. The thing is, why do people, especially those with relatively small businesses, why do those people need to look rich to other people? I don't get it. The thing is, it somehow also makes sense, because we all think in that way. We all think that, okay, just because he's just wearing that shirt, this bottom-up shirt, and the great shoes, and he's having a good car, that her or his business is probably just pretty nice and pretty good, or he is pretty good at what he's doing, because he seems to be relatively wealthy. To the clients, in terms of client to CEO or client to rich man or rich looking man, let's say that, it just somehow makes sense. But on the other hand, it just somehow does not make sense, or at least I do not want it to make sense, because I would really rather just look like I don't know, the poorest piece of shit there is, but have a really fucking big ass company. Like, I don't know, I do just understand that it makes sense that you're just pouring every single dollar into what you're doing. It would make sense without spending anything on anything. Like, without spending any money on anything else but what you're doing or what you're trying to do or what you're trying to build. At least this is how I think about it. I still understand the people that are willing to wear some Gucci shit and something. I understand it. It looks great. The designs are good. Something that I have to say is that the designs of designer brands, they are just good from a design perspective now. Like, in such a perspective, it just makes sense for me. Like, it looks cool. Like, H&M's probably not having such cool designs as Gucci or Prada or whatever it has. This is something that I understand. But the thing is, why is it such a thing in our society that we have to look rich to other people? And does it actually make a difference? Are you having more clients because you're looking rich than without looking rich? Basically, sentence structure is pretty off there. But yeah, it would be something interesting. Would really be something interesting to see, because there has to be reasons. For sure, some people in corporate jobs, they have to wear suits and they have to wear the bottom-up shirts and they have to do this. But sometimes they even have to do it because they're working with clients. I don't know. You could also just come to work with a fucking t-shirt. Does it make any difference? Does it actually make any difference in terms of what you're capable of doing? Which means, like, I really like to think there about, like, Mark Zuckerberg. Like, he's such a wealthy person, but he's still wearing the exact same shit every fucking single day because it makes sense for him and he doesn't have to look just rich, I guess. Gary Vee, same exact thing. Bill Gates, same exact thing. Jeff Bezos, even though those people still, they're wearing just some suits as well from time to time. They have to, when there is just, I don't know, some press fucked up shit or something like this, there's probably going to be some certain occasions where they have to wear suits. Something that I understand, something that I get. But yeah, But yeah. Just losing my fucking mind there, I guess. But yeah. But yeah. So, the paperclip strategy is a visual trigger. I've heard from readers who have employed it in a variety of ways. One woman shifted a hairpin from one container to another whenever she wrote a page of her book. Another man moved a marble from one bin to the next after each set of push-ups. Making progress is satisfying, and visual measures like moving paperclips or hairpins or marbles provide clear evidence. of your progress. As a result, they reinforce your behavior and add a little bit of immediate satisfaction to any activity. Here are a few reasons visual cues work well for building new habits. So cue is the exact same thing as a trigger. A cue triggers something and a trigger also triggers something. So it is apparently the exact same thing. As we know by going through triggers, I guess it was called, is also an article by James Clear. It was on triggers themselves. So what types of triggers there are. And I'm really hoping that this is not going to be such a thing, because I've already seen it. But something that I might have to say is that I do have to stop the recording, but I'm not quite sure. 14 minutes, we're already 20 minutes in. I'm running really late here. I'm running really late. Probabilities are there that I'm not able to do what I'm willing to do afterwards. Therefore, we are going ahead with the cues the next time. Maybe even today. Maybe I'm gonna just finish them up today after I've came home, because I came home just really early. Then I'm gonna do it. Maybe, could be the case. But this is now gonna be it for the episode. I do hope that you've learned something. I do hope that I've just that I always was able to entertain you to some degree, because this is something that I always also want to do, because it is important. It really is important. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you are going to be remembered, which means your legacy, because we totally have it in our control. We totally can change the way our life is and the way our legacy is. But yeah, even though you might be the nicest and most generous and best person there's still going to be someone that hates you. And please think about your purpose. Why are you here, and what are you trying to do? What are you trying? What are you trying to change? Is there something that really bothers you? Something that so bothers you that you have to change it. You have to do something against it. Is there something? If there is something, this is maybe your purpose in life. But who knows? I see you the next time, and thank you very much for listening and or watching. Subscribe to the podcast and or the YouTube channel if you want to see more. And if you do not want to miss out on anything, any great information, I see you the next time. I really do.